Hello guys, Garcia here, and these are some quick thoughts about Unwelcome, a folk horror movie that was released last January. The first half of this video is going to be spoiler free, and the second part will contain spoilers, so I will warn you before this part starts. The movie is about Maya and Jamie, a couple that suffers a traumatic and violent experience in London just after learning that Maya is pregnant. Luckily for them, a lady called Maeve, aunt of Jamie, just passed on the Irish countryside, and they inherit her house and her small property. But Aunt Maeve had a secret that might come back to haunt them in the immediate future. So first of all, if you saw the trailer or the cover of this movie, then you basically know that this movie is going to feature little creatures that basically look like goblins. And yeah, they had me at hello, basically. I love creature flicks. Doesn't matter which type, their size, or how many will show up during the story. I will always give this type of movie a shot if it looks interesting. And I'm glad I did, because this movie is pretty fun. Because the couple moves from London to the Irish countryside right in the beginning, basically all of the story develops itself in these tree and grass covered landscapes. And given the subject matter of the movie, this setting enhances the folk appeal of its creatures and establishes an appropriate mood for the movie. There are some almost dreamlike sequences that look great, especially in the woods, and some of the shots had these vivid colors and glowing lights, making the country house feel almost as magical as the creatures themselves. The movie overall looks pretty good. The story is pretty simple, but it gets wilder as the film progresses. The role of the creatures in the movie is actually way different than what you would expect, and there are other threats besides them. The easily recognizable horror cliches are front and center here, and may annoy some people expecting something more elevated out of this story, like people that are confrontational for no reason, characters that don't disclose important pieces of information for no reason, a main couple that is not that bright, and of course, the many coincidences that need to take place in order for the story to move forward. All of that said though, the second half of the movie is very interesting. The kills are more violent than I expected. The creatures look great, and you can feel the sanity of the main couple starting to slip away, given the stress and later the craziness of the situation. Despite having the creatures, this movie doesn't feel like Gremlins or Puppet Master or other small creature-based horror films, because they usually have heavier comedic elements than this one. There are funny moments here and there, but they are more the byproduct of the sheer insanity of what's happening than necessarily the focus of the movie, which is great, because it worked better this way, for me at least. It's goofy in some points, but never enough to detract from the horror themes, and it's serious enough when it needs to be, but never reaching the point of being silly. So if you haven't watched it yet, I recommend you do so. It's fun, but only if you like creature movies and don't mind some silly in a horror story. Now we are going to the spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, this is your warning. Thank you very much for watching so far, and I hope you enjoyed the movie. So, spoilers ahead. First, I'll talk about what I didn't like. Jamie and Maya annoyed the hell out of me, to be honest. Basically, the entire movie you're like, don't do that, don't say that, don't go there. Are you going to leave her alone after the violence you guys experienced? And after meeting the incredibly antagonistic people that are working on your house? Meaning that they know where you live? It's just hard to like them when most of what they do doesn't make sense, or it's just a bad idea, no matter what. Another thing I didn't like were the villains, the family that is actually the main threat of the movie. They are this movie's representatives of the horror trope I dislike the most. People from the countryside that are highly belligerent for no logical reason. They need to be in this movie for it to work, but man, that always comes off as lazy writing to me. That said, there were way more things that I actually liked. The redcaps, the goblin-like creatures, are really fun and interesting. They have a sense of humor without being complete goofballs. And you also feel bad for one of them, at least I did. The one that gets killed with a meat cleaver. You can see that he's in pain, and that moment makes you question if they are evil or just subservient and gullible. They are never a threat to the main couple, and they held up their end of the bargain and killed the murderous family members without hurting Jamie and Maya. The scene in which one goblin shows up at their home to gift Maya the head of Owen is awesome. He just enters, delivers the proof of their deed, and then just walks out. It's a very unique portrayal of this type of creature in a horror movie. As I said before, I like the dreamlike and exaggerated lighting and colors that are present in some scenes. They probably denote the presence of some kind of mystical energy in the house and in the surrounding areas. The conclusion of the movie is also very interesting. When the goblins show up to help the couple against the home invaders, you instantly think, she definitely cut out a deal with them to save her husband, just like his Aunt Maeve did many years before. So after everything is said and done, they will come back to collect. And they indeed do that, but then there's a catch. She goes after them, finds out that Maeve's daughter still lives after all these years, and that she is a mother figure to them. So she kills her to get her baby back and ends up becoming their new mother. I was fully expecting that she was either going to trade herself or the annoying husband for her baby, but when she understood the redcap situation in their lair, she acted on instinct and just solved the situation in a very unique way. She's alive, her baby is alive, and her husband is alive. But if the last scene is any indication of their mental state, their sanity has been severely damaged in this process. So who knows what's going to happen moving forward. The last thing I would like to talk about is the interesting way the movie uses the redcaps. While watching, I was just waiting for Maya to miss an offering, incurring their wrath upon the couple, but the main antagonist ends up being the weird country family that's fixing the house. The goblins are false antagonists and are actually the heroes, albeit demanding an impossible payment for their services. So that's it, guys. It's a fun movie with cool creatures that has its problems, but no deal breakers for me. Hopefully you can see more horror films like this one in the future. Thank you very much for watching, and may the goblins prevail.